out here. Howdy guys, I'm Jeep and Jason, and today on the AutoEdits channel, we're going to be showing you air compressors to air up your tires for your trail rig, specifically the Jeep. And we're going to go the full spectrum from cheapy Amazon compressor all the way on up to the top dog twin ARB with a 4-tire air inflation system from Innovative AT Products. So Innovative AT Products is the guy that came up with the seat recline kit that I put in the Jeep. I don't know, it's 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and he's just a SoCal guy that when he comes up with something he wants to improve on his Jeep, he just invents a product to fix those things. And I just love that about that. So I really encourage you, like support the small guys, the local businesses, and he's come up with a really simple 4-tire air system. This is relatively new on the market. These import air compressors that are kind of higher performance at a lower price point than we're used to seeing. So 139 bucks. It claims to have 6 point something CFM. Now CFM is cubic feet per minute volume. This is the ViaAir 400P. Now this one they've been making for a decade. I don't know how long. I got this one 7 years ago, and it has just put in the work for me on the trail, has pumped up my tires dozens, if not 100 times. It's been a great compressor. 139 bucks for this one. This is 250 bucks. So you can see that this is what I call a mid to higher end level compressor. And then what we have here is the ARB twin compressor system right here. Now this is industry standard as the kind of one of the top dog twin compressor setups because of, look at the size of this for a twin compressor. It's small, has cooling fan, has a pretty advanced wiring harness going here, but $616. But you get this very powerful package that's very compact, and you can mount it under the hood, under the seat, wherever you want. And that is kind of cool with the Innovative AT kit. It's going to go under the passenger seat of my JK. Now they also make this kit for JLs, JTs, so Innovative, go to the website. Links are always in the description for this stuff. So you can find this thing right on my Amazon page, this thing as well. This one, I'll just put a link right to the Innovative. And that way you could either buy this kit together from Innovative AT, or you could actually just buy, if you have a compressor already, you could buy their 4-tire kit right here. Now we're going to do the full install on that. It's going to be kind of fun. I'm looking forward to that. And then we'll do the head-to-head and get you numbers on all of these things right here. All right, there's a couple things to think of why you want an onboard air system, and especially kind of the 4-tire system. This is kind of a might as well while you're there kind of situations where now, the way I have it set up, and like many of us, it's the footprint. One of the big factors in this is the footprint of the air compressor and, accessories, is that it takes up part of your gear. And for the way I end up camping and, having a lot of stuff in here, and usually by the time you need to air up, you have to unbury this, get it out of your rig, and then there's usually a gear avalanche where that was, and then it's like dark, or if it's muddy or wet or rainy, then this comes back and it's hot and it's like awkward to get back in. So it's one of those things, plus the fact that having to open the hood, I don't want to have to do that. I don't want to have to open my hood and connect connectors to the battery. I just want it all self-contained, and that's that luxury. Now, none of this is important, must-have stuff. This is all blessing, extra credit, awesome stuff. So like, take a minute. If you're installing a onboard 4-tire system, things are good, and take a minute to appreciate that. So I'm trading off this big footprint right here to this. All 4 of my airlines are inside this bag. So getting at it and restoring this is something that's super easy, and that is seriously one of the most desirable aspects of this. I don't have to go under the hood, I don't have to do any other things. So all I have to do is grab this very small bag, get all my hoses, attach them to all 4 tires, hit a switch, air up. I'm really looking forward to checking this setup, and we'll see what the speed is. All right, if you're like me, you love this part. First step of the onboard air installation is to get the compressor ready, and this kind of highlights the versatility of the twin ARB package. You can rotate the manifold to the perfect angle, then install the T-fitting that came with the AT kit, and screw on both of the air filters, and voila, the air compressor is ready for mounting. Now it's time for the fun to begin. We're going to install the Quick Connect adapter brackets here. Now these are driver and passenger specific because you want the side that has the least amount of threads, which is basically the bulkhead side on the outside. So that one would be, that's going to go here. So that's passenger side. We'll go install this on the driver side in a moment. So if you hold the bracket into place, you'll notice that these two holes right here line up with the bracket. And so what we want to do is just clearance those two holes real quick with a 1/4 inch drill bit. Then just take the bracket, use it as a template because we have to drill one more hole. And so then we'll just put these two in place, mark where this hole needs to be, and then drill this hole here. Now we'll just double check, make sure that we got our holes right. So we'll go on over to the driver's side and we'll go ahead and mount this one into place because there's no other accessories going underneath there. So let's go do that. And that's it for the bracket install for the driver's side, but now's a good time to go ahead and, if you've been around this channel at all, you know exactly what's about to happen. We're gonna clean that. Oh, while we're here, why not? Hit it with the little bit of the interior detailer here. Oh yeah. Time to get underneath the seat, and that's just 4 18mm bolts that go into the floor right here. So there's 2 in the front, 2 in the rear. And if you've never gotten your seat out before, you're gonna need a breaker bar or an impact wrench because those have some Loctite on it and they are in there. Now all we're gonna do is just tilt the seat back, but we have to remove these plugs here. There's 2 of them on this one. This one has a seat heater. So you just pull this red tab is already back. We'll pull that one apart. And then there's one more up inside here we have to get out of here. And tilt our seat back, keeping track of the tracks. All right, and there we have it. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull these connectors off of here, and on yours, there said there might be rivets or whatever. There's a couple of T35 Torx right there, so let's just get this off and this area clear. Oh yeah, you're busting me, I'm cleaning. Now it's time to go ahead and get the brackets all in place here under the passenger seat. And so these will go in this configuration. Let's go ahead and get the inside done. Now what this will do is this will stagger towards the inside of the Jeep. So what we'll do is we'll get this one started. Instructions are super clear on what we want to do here. Even though we put the Quick Connect bracket on the outside to line it up to drill the holes, it actually lives in between there, just like on the driver's side, so it's flush. Looks good this way. All of this looks like we meant to do it, which is the sign of an excellent kit. Now we can heave the compressors into place. I'll get all these started by hand first. Now this is the Quick Connect for the outside of the passenger side. Obviously the back of it is in here. Now in the top of the compressor, you'll see the T-fitting that we installed very first off here. Now what I'll do is, since I have such great access to this right here, I'm just gonna go ahead and fit this section of tubing into the T in the top here and get it out to here. So while we have that, let's get that done. Wiring and plumbing time. Now I actually called Tony on the phone to get just like a heads up on some of the things to do with this. It's really kind of fun to do that. If you guys ever want to just take the time, especially on these smaller companies, they're really happy to talk to you. In the instructions, it says to unbolt the center console, lift it up a little bit and fish the air line that goes underneath this to the driver's side. But see right here, he actually said that there's a way you could fish that through. But since I want to install my compressor switch right here. That's another pro tip right there. I don't have a spot in my painless trail rocker up here. I don't have an S-Pod. I don't have anything that I'm out of spots here. So he recommended, because I thought, well, why don't I just put it like there, like I've seen on some of the other systems? And he said this is where you get this experience coming into play. He said, well, what if you're on this side of the Jeep? You have to walk all the way around to hit that. The whole point of this is to be kind of efficient and kind of cool. So he says something in the center. So I'm gonna pick right here. And so that means I'm gonna try to have to get some wiring in here. So I'm just gonna pull at least this part out of the center console. And that's just a quick, that's just a quick pull up on this. I said, there we go. There we go. It's just a quick pull up on this thing, and then you have to just kind of wrestle it. All right. Give it a little twist to the side. That seems to be the ticket there. And then we'll go off here and just get this out of the way.
Congratulations.
Oh, hello there. Hi.
All right, let's give it up for Mr.
Got my helper out here today. So I'm thinking tucked right up in here is going to be a good idea. So I made a little template on paper. I just measured the dimensions of this thing. So I think that's going to be it. This will be our template. We'll cut that with the Dremel tool. Well, I know me, and I knew it wasn't going to be super happy with just on-off. And besides that, the ARB switch has a particular thing with it needs a 12-volt source here at the cutoff. So, pulled the center console, 4 Torx bolts around the bottom, wiggle it out. I went ahead and found 2 wires right here, so everything's going to be nice and contained in the center console. The directions on the innovative directions actually show you 2 other places to be able to get these 2 things for the switch light. So when you turn on your panel lights or your headlights, you actually get this lit so you can find it in the dark. And also 12-volt source to go into this outlet right here. So that on this 2013 JK is a red with a green stripe. So you attach the ARB red with the yellow stripe to that. So that handles the 12 volt. And for the light for the switch, I went ahead and did that in the cup holder light, which is at the bottom. If you guys haven't noticed, but your cup holders has this cool little LED floodlight in the very bottom of that thing right down inside there. And also extra credit points for anybody who knew that that was where one of the Easter eggs that lived in your Jeep resides. It's the Jeep grill down inside there. You know how Jeep has all those little, like the Bigfoot on the windshield and all those little things. There's little Easter eggs all over the thing. So there's one of them down inside there. So I ran that there. Now right now this should operate all the time. Now I don't have it to where it has to be key on. I just want to be able to turn my compressors on at any point. So this should, there you go. Now it's time to prep the main wiring harness for the compressors. First, pull the plastic guard off the back. Then get the approval of your supervisor and use a pokey thing to release the pin at the top of the wire and push it out of the back of the connector. Do this for all 5 wires, making sure you kept track of which goes where. Nearing the home stretch, now it's time to get the wiring loom from the battery into the cabin for the compressor, and that's just from like the connector that you, of course, took a picture of before you took it apart so you don't rewire it incorrectly. But now we have that apart, and let me show you where we're gonna go, at least on the JK for sure. This is the spot. Now this little panel, you're gonna need to pull this off on the panel on the bottom. The trick to this guy is I found you just push right here and then it opens up this little corner here, and take an easy pry or a screwdriver and just pull right there. And there's just little clips back in there, little clips back in there. You just pull that off and that just pops right out. So that's the easy way to get that out. Now there's this hole in the door jamb that has foam in it, and I just use this coat hanger right here. There's a couple different ways. The innovative instructions have like a drill bit on an extension to go all the way through. I just jammed it a bunch of times with a stick. Went caveman style, and we'll see if that works. And then we'll use this coat hanger to go through and then pull our wires through into the cabin. And since I didn't drill the hole any larger, I found that it was going to be better to stagger the connectors on the master wiring loom by cutting back about 1 foot of the wire wrap, taping up 3 of the wires to the coat hanger, letting the other 2 follow in afterwards, and getting it right through. So you can see it got the wire run down here. I ended up just putting a little bit of the power braid on it right here from the painless kit that I ran. And here's the switch for underneath the dash. Here's our seat wiring. Have this tucked away. I even have the plumbing going to the airline on the driver's side, standing by, ready to go, looking good. So then we'll just go ahead and put this piece back in. You wanna go for a walk? Okay, let's go take a break. We'll take Pinto for a walk. Yeah, I think so. I think that's a good idea. Yeah, all right, we'll be right back. Quick tour of the final part of the engine bay side of the wiring. So we have the loom coming through the firewall. I have it zip tied here, keep everything tidy and looking good. These are the wires that go to the A-pillar lights here. Ooh, very, very sexy, right? And so got a couple of knuckle busters getting that in there, but everything looks good. Now, quick pro tip on your terminals, never attach to this post here on your terminals on either side, because that is what tightens the terminal to your battery post. So always do it to one of the posts here. I did it to that post over there. Everything looks really good. I like that. Time to get the seat back in place. This right here is the Cargo Dog rear seat delete for the JK, and I've been really happy with it. I put it in last year, and I'm still running it. I didn't think I would be running it for this long, but here we are. All right, seat comes forward. These are the 2 stock seat connectors. Those will go to these 2 right here. Before we get this lowered down, I'm gonna go ahead and attach one of the ARB harness. Let's go actually attach both. This is almost like on purpose right now. The Jeep connectors. We'll just now move the seat all the way forward. Seat goes that way, plenty of room. All the way back, plenty of room, all of that stuff. Let's do a quick test. Air compressor works. Air compressor works, woohoo, no smoke. And here's the air line that's going from the driver's side, and we'll just go ahead and route that up on top of the compressor and plug it into the T. Now it's time for a systems pressure test to see if we got it plumbed right and see how we did. So we'll go ahead and get all of our hoses out. So we should have all 4 hoses, which is basically 2 pigtails. So we'll get this one separated from that one, and we'll plug them in at the little bulkheads here on both sides. So we'll go to this side, we'll just leave those there for now. Now on the driver's side is where I'm gonna install the optional air up, air down gauge in the relief valve system, but I have that out of the system right here. That just plugs in right behind this bulkhead, or you could actually option to put that in right here. These lines are so flexible. I'll show you how to play around with those in a minute. But for now, we're gonna put this in all the way just till that seats. All of these fitting ends are self-sealing. So you don't have to, if there's not an air chuck in there, those will seal. So we should now be able to turn the compressor on and it should hold air. And we'll just let the system sit for a second and see if it does. I got scared for a second there. It's been sitting like this for a couple minutes now, and I can turn the compressor off and on, and there's no cycling, so that means there's been no leak down, so it doesn't need to repressurize. So that would be a success. I don't have a ton of experience with these fittings, and to release the pressure in the system, because it equalizes, it's just open between the T-valves, you could either just put these on an air chuck on the tire, or I just find that you could just literally push the release, and it just does it automatically. I don't know if that's bad or not. It seems to work okay for me now. This is the air up, air down gizmo that we're about to put in. Has a bleed valve here that you can set to a pressure, and that's what we'll do in a minute. And then this is what we'll plug into the back of the bulkhead here and into the line on the compressor. All right, all 4 tires are connected and the system is now equalized, remember, because this is open on either side, so that way if you have one side connected and you had this off, it would bleed down. So that's kind of something you just have to manage, but the cool thing about that is that it does all 4 tires equally all at once, which is, for OCD people like me, that's awesome. Now, I put my Power Tank's fancy digital air pressure gauge on that back tire. It's reading 31.7, and on the gauge here it's reading literally almost 32. It's like this gauge is very accurate, which is kind of reassuring. I love that double check. Now let me show you the air down function. So that's just this collar right here. So there you go. It's now airing down, and again, that's not going to be my primary way of airing down for me, but for the normal person, this is a great way to do all 4 tires to the equal pressure right here. So the speed of this doesn't really do much for me, but I'll just show you. Let's get it down to like 15 and see how long that takes. It only took 4 minutes and 20 seconds to get all 4 of these 37-inch BFGs from 31 PSI down to 15, and they're all equalized. This is actually a really good time. But I'm not normal, and I installed a set of monster valves on this thing last year, and by the time I finish this sentence, I'll have gone from 29 to 10 PSI, and times 4, that's still faster. The challenge is all 4 tires, 15 to 30. Let's do it. Ready? And go. All right, the game is on. We're racing. Do you feel the race? I feel the excitement. Love this. Now I have my cheater, I can look at the back there and see how it's actually doing in real time, because that gauge is obviously reading a little bit advanced, and 30 PSI. All right, so it took 4 minutes and 23 seconds to hit 30. Let's see what the blow-off valve goes to. There you go, the blow-off valve just went off, and so that way you know it is now at, well, what it's reading for me is 32.8 on the back. So now all you do is you just turn off the compressor, cycle that little valve right there, and you're locked in. All right, so my tattletale gauge is showing me just over 32 PSI on the back. My innovative AT products gauge under the seat here is showing just over 32, so I have that kind of peace of mind of trusting that gauge is accurate. And remember, all 4 tires are exactly this pressure right now because this is a balanced system. And knowing that the blow-off valve is set at 32, that's perfect highway stuff. I run this thing 30 to 32 cold. That's just where these tires feel very happy. I'm in, I'm dialed. You could massage this more if you want to, but 423, all 4 tires at an equalized pressure. I'd say, even though that's not as fast as a single tire on one of those other compressors, this right here, if you were to times 4 on the other compressors, think about that. This is all done. So by far, much faster. Loving this. You might be wondering just how much faster. Well, let's get that data. Next up, I ran the ViaAir 400p, the same range from 15 to 30 PSI. And this little workhorse did the job in 2 minutes, 28 seconds. Multiply that times 4, and you get just under 9 minutes total, more than double our onboard air test. And finally, it was time to check the lungs on the Amazon Special compressor, which managed to move enough air to complete the test in 2 minutes, 57 seconds. Times 4 gets us very close to 12 minutes total. So, the onboard system isn't just easier to use, it's much faster than the single tire setups. All right, and for the absolute glory of this entire thing is this, the put away, just like the get out or the deployment of the system. This being this easy is the whole point of this. And now I have my air up system put away. Now you're not gonna be that jabroni on your trail ride, last guy to air up. Oh. Last bit of detail that the kit comes with is this little black plug here. Now this comes in handy when you want to use one side or other of the system. You block off the other side and that way you're good to go. And then this thing, you just don't want to keep it in this thing because it'll break off in there. So you just keep that in the center console, which I will, and that's it. This right here is such a great luxury to have in your trail rig. Now, like, obviously this is not for everybody. This is an expensive upgrade and it's purely just for ease of use. Now, instead of having one of these in my gear area, I have this, and I have like this little cargo dog here. I can just store it right there. I could stash it if I want to behind the seat like that, and it's just easy to access and use and live with. I'm really, really excited about this one. It is long overdue to get this thing in the dirt. I'm almost embarrassed that it's so clean inside there. Now remember, this thing does get out and get used, so it just means that I'm weird that I clean it up. So we'll get it out on the trail, we'll test out all of the new components. Definitely gonna dig this, and until next time, you guys enjoy your drive. Woo! Put some doors back on this thing. Let's go. Where's my dog?